I was talking for like 10, 20 minutes and I realized my phone was like, after that, oh my gosh. So yeah, I was talking about this guy. I was talking about this movie that I'm watching, and this movie is about this baby. This baby is young. I mean, this baby is an old person. When the father saw his baby, he instantly rejected his baby, and he dropped the baby off on the doorstep of a neighbor's. My phone got a charge, so I gotta come over here. So he dropped the baby off at a doorstep, and I feel like I'm repeating myself. Okay, so he dropped the baby off at a doorstep. This was after the fact that he was about to throw the baby in the river. He was about to throw the baby in the river, but then the officer seen him, and he he wound up chasing him down, like, you're not about to do that. So basically, he was about to get arrested for doing that, and he wound up dropping the baby off at this black woman's home. So this black woman took the baby in as her own. It was a white baby. Took the baby in as her own, and what did she do? Okay, so she took the baby in as her own, and then, because they were thinking about giving it away to a special needs facility, like you can take, for babies with special needs and, who need that extra attention, extra care. So she wound up saying no, and she said she'd keep this baby. So then, like I said, what caught my interest about everything, well, like I said, okay, so, yeah, so there was a time where the wife, later on, there was this little girl that was his wife. This little girl was about 8 years old, and this guy, he looks like he's about 87. But he's really the young girl's age. He's really the same age as the little girl. But he has this kind of disease. He has this, disease that makes him look older, but he's really his actual age is the same age as the younger girl. So he's an old man. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that. So then, like I said, what intrigued me the most was when he was in the church, and the church was kind of doing miracles. He was working miracles. He was doing magic. Like I said, you ever seen, I keep saying like I said because I was just on here talking to talk, and my camera wasn't on. So I used to watch this show when I was like 18, 19 years old. I had just had my daughter, and I was going through my, my episodes. Because I had post-traumatic stress disorder and postpartum disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder and postpartum. So I was going through these episodes, as they say it was episodes. And I used to watch this show. This show was like a preacher who used to give out, him and his wife built this, like, their church organization off of miracles, magic. They was Christians, complete Christians, but they how you got them, it's oftentimes in movies too, where you got the husband and the wife, and they're worshiping the Bible and they're doing magic. So that's what they were doing. They were doing magic, but they were actually blessing people. So this old man that's a baby, or this old man with this disease, baby, he's actually like a young kid in an old man's body. Okay, so he was sitting in a wheelchair, and these church people made him walk. So as soon as they made him walk, the pastor that did it passed away. So like I said, like I said, that reminded me of the time when I used to watch that show, and I would reach out to them, and they would send me postcards, because I'm just like, I'm so interesting, because they were like, sow this seed and this will happen in your life, sow this seed and this will happen in your life, sow this seed and this will happen in your life. Like, have y'all ever actually watched that TV channel of, it was like some old timers, or any type of, pastor making things happen out of the ordinary for other people, like blessing somebody from a cold, healing a sickness, this and that, some Jesus type stuff. So they used the Bible, they prayed, and then automatically, stuff was happening in people's lives. And then it wasn't just like something you can say that didn't happen, because you had all these people, they was making millions of dollars. So it's just like, it happened, they actually healed these people. And this was real life TV shows that I was watching that in reality. When I was younger, as a kid, I was watching, I'm like, wow, this pastor is really healing these people. And I'm saying that in amazement, because it's like, this don't happen nowadays. You won't turn on the TV and see this, or maybe you will, I don't know. But a lot of people don't talk about this stuff. And I'm just like, I'm kind of questioning now why, because it's stuff like that just, it's why we believe the way we believe today. Once upon a time we believed this, but we don't like to admit that because we're too afraid, or we just, been, our mind has been clouded and we can't really remember. But I'm just saying, like, who else remembers that? Watching these pastors ask people to sow seeds, but they're working miracles of making this person walk, making this person talk, making this person, move, get out of the bed when they never got out of the bed, stuff like that. So he was doing that. So like I said, so that was my experience, because that's something I actually was watching when I was younger, and stuff that was actually happening at that time. So that's what reminded me of that. So then he got up and he started walking, And so I guess he made his legs start walking, but he died. So there's a price to pay. That took me back to that, where there's always a price to pay for, if you take someone's life, someone else's, somebody who uses some type of magic against somebody else's life, their life, basically it's like karma instantly. It depends on how you're using the magic or whatnot. Like I said, this was coming straight from the Bible he was preaching from, so I don't know. Holy water and this and that they was using. So then, well, they didn't show all the details, but that's just from my experience. But yeah, that's what happened to him. So I'm just sitting there thinking, like, the whole time, I'm just like in awe, like, oh my gosh. It's obviously you can see what's going on, but it's just like, oh my gosh, like, just imagine you growing down into a baby. It's not you growing until you're old and not knowing when you'll die, because eventually you can die 60, 70, 80. So you got all that time to think about, you got all that time. Okay, at least 80. I know if I hit 80, I can at least make it to 82. I hit 82, I can at least make it to 83. You got all that space for hope. But then you dying at a young age, like being reversed, you don't have that much time. It's like you don't have no hope or space in the situation, because once you hit 1, and then it's just going backwards from there. Now you 6 months, now you 2 months, now you 1 month, now you 3 days, and then boom, oh snap, yeah, I'm about to go. It's about to be my time. I said 1 day old. Yeah, 1 day old. Okay, so yeah, and then you just like boom, yeah. So it's like there's nothing to hope for, because you're about to die. But like I said, it could be any minute, because when that baby died, when he died as a baby, it's like he only got to like 3. I would say he looked about 7 months, 6 months, 7 months, and then he died. So it could be in the same format of an old person dying. It could be. They got all the way until, like, it's like kind of, oh my, I'm gonna die at 100 years old. So it's like count down from 100, or to 100. So I'm just like, wow, it's just, and he wound up passing the same time his mother passed, and it's just so weird. His mother died. The way his mother died was she was listening to her husband's book that he wrote. And her husband was the baby that was dying in her arms. So she had to raise her it's like she had to be there for her son. And her daughter wound up, taking care of her as a daughter should. But I don't think they said nothing about the daughter having the disease as her father. But yeah, they wound up falling in love, but at the time they actually started having feelings for each other. He was an old man, she was a little girl. And eventually they came to, the timeline of, now I'm this age and now you're that age, so now we can actually, get together and have a baby. They wound up having a baby. And then they couldn't be together, so they actually had to separate, because the older she became, the younger he became. So they had one more intercourse, and that's when he was like, I want to say 20s, in his 20s. And she was, she was an old woman, but he's still old enough. He's still old enough, obviously. So they had one more, intimate moment with each other, and then they wound up separating again. And then when he got really, really young, like 10 years, I think she started taking care of him at, I think, from 6 years old down. So then, she started taking care of him, and all the way up until her husband was in her arms as a baby. And then she said, she said she seen the look in his eyes of him remembering at the last moment he took his breath. And I said he looked like he was about like 5 months old when he passed. I was like, wow, that was just, it's actually just something to think about, honestly. It is, because it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I would be afraid. I would be more afraid of having my life reversed. I'm an older person growing downward, growing younger. I feel like it's an urgency, and I feel like that's how he was, too. It's like he couldn't even live his life, because, you starting off, the good thing about that, though, is you don't got to go to school. There's so many advantages to that, though. If you was to grow from old man to young, it's like you ain't got to go to school. You can live life actually the right way. You don't have to live life by the book. But at the same time, what stood out to me as well is like he was this older man, but his body was short, like a kid. He looked like he had a kid body, but an old man head, So it's like he was growing up. His body was getting, he was growing taller, but then it's like that's how we age. I don't know, it's weird, because like he's an old man, but he has a young body, and then he grows up, now he looks like normal. Then he grows back down, and he, young head, short body, young youth. I don't know. This is weird. It's weird. It's like the whole time it just seemed like, I don't know. It's weird. It's so fascinating and interesting to just opens your mind to wild possibilities. Like if you was really to just start life over, it would probably be just instead of having to change instead of thinking about change outwardly in the world, it would have to be something to change human species, human creation, something so spontaneous, something so unordinary, something so phenomenal, something so extraordinary to actually change the cycle of life. The cycle of life would have to change in order for the world to change. Something has to happen to humans in order to basically kill the clocks and kill time and just kill the rotation of life, kill the system and everything. There is something like that has to happen for you to actually live life the way it's supposed to be without all of this extra, without the stress of these bills and all this other stuff. Like something amazing like that would have to happen just for you to see life from a different perspective, from a different direction, for you to live life the way you want to live life. Because when you are growing old to young, how can you live by the rules? How can you